Hey everyone, I hope you guys are doing well. Today I wanted to do a review on a product that I've been using for a couple of weeks now. And before I get started, I do want to apologize. I know I sound extra nasal and that's because my allergies have been horrible and I've been feeling really like stuffed up and all that fun stuff, so I'm sorry about that. Number two, you might hear a lot of background noise and that's because they're still doing construction in my complex and I've been trying to find like the perfect time to film during the day where they're not working, and it seems like they've been working all day, like morning till night, and they've been doing this for the past like week now, so I do apologize for that. Hopefully there won't be too much noise in the background. But anyway, the product that I wanted to talk about today are the PÜR Eye Polishes. I was lucky enough to be sent all 6 of the shades that they offer, and I've been using it for a while now, so I feel like I really have an idea of how I feel about them. So I'll talk about the pros and cons in my opinion, and I'll share all the swatches with you guys, and I'll also insert a clip of me applying these so you guys kind of have an idea of how I like to use them. So anyway, I'm just going to get started. Like I said, these are the PÜR Eye Polishes, and these are really neat because I've never tried an eye product quite like this. It's kind of like a liquidy cream product. The packaging is really interesting because it comes in this pot, and usually when I get cream shadows in a pot, it's more of like a solid, whereas this one is definitely more like liquidy and creamy. It even has like a little mesh on top of it so that the product doesn't like leak and like move around all over. This is called an eye polish. It's kind of like a play on a nail polish because you can actually use it 3 different ways as a base coat. So you can use this on your eyelids, underneath any powder eyeshadow. You can also use this as a top coat, so after you do your eye look, you can take one of the colors or 2 or whatever you want and like put it on top of it just to add a little extra like sparkle and dimension to your eyes, or you can use it like on its own. Like I said, I will be inserting a clip of how I use them, and my favorite way to use them is just on their own. And honestly, I have not come across like a cream shadow that I've been able to do that with. I feel like whenever I get a cream shadow, it's not pigmented enough. As I try to blend it out and work with it, it starts to like kind of, you know, shear itself out a little bit. So usually I use it as just a base, and you can do that with this as well, but this I find that it does work on its own, and that's because it's really pigmented. It's actually a really neat formula, and I love all of the colors. They're all really great. So I'm actually going to start swatching them from lightest to darkest. So the first one I have here is Cashmere, and I did want to give you guys a close-up of what the packaging looks like. So as you can see here, it has this kind of like mesh like net on top of it, and it's a very like bouncy material, and that's really just to hold the product in so that the product doesn't fall out of the pot, because like I said, it is more of like a liquidy cream formula. And you can kind of see here it does kind of separate a little bit, so what I like to do before I use it is really just kind of shake it up a little bit just to make sure it's well mixed. I noticed that if I don't like shake it up a little bit, it kind of is more liquidy and it's not as pigmented. So I do like to kind of knock it around a little bit, and the fact that that mesh net is there, it does like prevent this product from just like leaking all over the place. And so when you knock it around, you can see it transfers a little bit onto the cap here. So I can sometimes like pick up product and work from here, which I like to do a lot of the time, or you can go directly in the pot itself. So like I said, this one is Cashmere, and you guys can see there it is such a pretty color. Isn't that pretty? It just has like this really pretty sheen to it. I love it. This one's a little bit hard to see because it is a lighter color. This is great like all over the lid. You can kind of use it as a highlight. To me, it's a little bit shimmery for a highlight. Also, I forgot to mention that when you buy these, each one actually comes with a silicone applicator, which I think is nice that they included that. You don't have to go out and buy it separately or anything. And this is actually a really great tool when using these eyeshadows. At first I was like, I don't think I'm going to use that. Like, I'm not even going to bother. But I did try it out, and it actually works really well if you're looking at putting as much like pigment down as possible and kind of giving the most like concentrated color on the lids as you can. I like the shape of it because it does come to a point, so it's great for getting into the inner corner, doing kind of like more detailed work, but I love the fact that it's a big surface area, so you can really lay down a lot of color at once, and the fact that it's a silicone material, it doesn't absorb any of the products, which I find that when I use my finger, which I love using my finger as well, even if I'm just tapping and not like spreading it out, my finger does tend to absorb some of the product, so I'm not really getting as much of it onto my lids as I could be. So this is actually a really handy tool to use. The next one that I have here is called Satin, and I like that the lids kind of match the color in the pot a little bit. So if these are on your vanity, you can kind of figure out which one is which right away. And like I said, this one is satin, and this is kind of like a pinky, kind of like a pinky pearly color. I want to say rose gold, but the next one I'm going to show you is definitely more of a rose gold color. So this is more of like a shell pink, if you will, and it still has that same like kind of like satiny, like shimmery finish to it. So I'm going to just shook it up a little bit, and I'm going to, like I said, you can go straight into the pot and grab product that way. And this again is gorgeous. That is satin. Again, it's still a pretty light color. It's a little bit darker than the cashmere. Actually, I'll swatch cashmere next to it so you guys can kind of compare the two. And I will have swatches of all of these side by side as well, but just to show you guys these two. Here are the two of them next to each other. This one is satin and this one is cashmere, and you can see that cashmere is more of like a yellowy golden color, and satin is more of like a pinky silver. The finish is also slightly different. Cashmere has more of like a satin kind of silky look to it, and satin here has more of a metallic-y kind of like shimmery finish. The next one that I have here is called Silk, and this is the one that is more of like a rose gold color, like I was telling you guys. This one is gorgeous. It's one of my favorites, and I am wearing this today on the inner part of my lid. You guys, a swatch of this. Sorry, it's really bright out today, but it's so pretty. Look at that like shine. It's like liquid metal. Alright, so here on the bottom we have satin, and up here we have silk, and you can see there, silk is definitely more metallic-y, has more of a shimmer to it. You can almost see kind of like little tiny like glitter particles, and you can see it's also a lot darker, definitely has more of that like bronzy kind of rose gold look to it, whereas this is just a really light kind of pinky silver color. So really pretty, again, really pigmented, and I just love the kind of reflective quality that these shadows have. The next color that I have is Velvet, and this is a gorgeous kind of like aubergine eggplanty wine color. It's probably the most vibrant of the shades that they offer. It's also like the only like colored one, if you will. The other ones are more like neutral. This one is definitely a bold pop of color, and this one is absolutely gorgeous. It's really fun. I feel like even though it's a little bit more vibrant of a color, it's still pretty wearable. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? It is so pretty. I love this one. This one has a similar finish to cashmere. It definitely has more of just like that silky sheen to it. It's not like super shimmery like the other ones. It's not as like metallic-y. I have two more shades to go. The next one is called Suede. This is another one that I have been wearing a lot. I am wearing this today on the outer half of my eyelid. This one is more of like your typical kind of like brownie bronze color. It's really, really nice. I really like this one a lot as well. This color I do wear a lot. It's very similar to some other shades that I just gravitate towards, and you can see it's definitely like a darker color, but it has that really nice kind of like golden bronzy color to it as well. Again, I love this. It looks like liquid metal. This one has a similar finish to Silk. It has kind of like that shimmery metallic-ness to it. You can see almost like individual like little like micro glitter particles, if you will, but I don't want to scare you by saying glitter. It's not glittery at all, but it does have that like those little tiny like reflective pieces to it. And you can see, like I said, like my finger does pick up a lot of the color. So the silicone applicator, I think, does a great job of depositing that color, and you're not wasting it or you're not picking anything up with your finger. It just really kind of lays it on the lid. So I do like using the silicone applicator for that purpose. And I'll use my finger to kind of blend colors out. And the final shade I have is called Caviar, and this is the only one that I haven't actually worn on my lids yet. It's a gorgeous color. It's a lot darker, and I feel like I kind of want to hold off and use it like in the fall and winter months. I feel like it's a little bit too dark for this time of year, but it is just so pretty. You can see it's kind of like this like old like antique-y like gold color, but definitely has a lot of green to it as well. It's very pretty. I think, well, this one's called Caviar, so I guess it's the only one that's not like a fabric or like a textile name. I didn't even realize that, but yeah, this is so pretty, and it's very similar actually to the suede color. You can see they're both really dark, but this one definitely has a lot of green to it, but for some reason like it just screams like fall and winter to me, whereas the suede I feel like I could wear like all year round. I mean, nothing says you can't wear it all year round, but just my preference. I prefer these types of like darker colors like in the fall months. But look how pretty that is. It is gorgeous. It's kind of like this mossy like green color. It's just, it's so pretty, but also has like, again, a metallic-ness to it. Almost has like a bronzy quality too as well. And I feel like with Caviar, the more you kind of blend it and work with it, you can see you get more of that like gold coming through. It's really pretty. It's a very dark color, but it just, I think having that like metallic-y gold to it kind of lightens it up a bit, and it's really pretty. So these shadows do dry down fairly quickly in my opinion, so you kind of have to work pretty fast because once you put them on, they do stay put. These eyeshadows last on my lids literally like from morning till night, so I would say the longest I've worn them, I would say, is 12 hours, and they've stayed put. They haven't creased. They've stayed like vibrant, but they do dry down to a powdery finish. So if you do touch them throughout the day, like if you rub your eyelid, they will like kind of transfer, as you can see here. Like here I'm touching it, and it still transfers quite a bit because it is more of like a powder at this point, but you can see it's still just as vibrant on my hand. But like, you know, obviously if you're going to touch your eyelid, it will come off a little bit. I really like the fact that it dries to a powdery finish because it allows you to do like a complete eye look by incorporating other like powder eyeshadows to the look. You can definitely wear them on their own, but I feel like it's hard to get a blended out look, especially with the darker shades. With the lighter ones, I feel like you can get away with it, but if you're using like the darker shades, it's kind of hard to get like that diffused look with it, just using it on its own. So what I like to do is incorporate other eyeshadows to kind of complete my look. And I'm going to insert a clip of how I did this eye look today, and I like to start with my powdered highlight color, which is Wet n Wild's Brulee today, and I just put that on the brow bone area, and then I took my transition shade, which I'm using MAC Soft Brown on a fluffy brush, and I just kind of buffed that into the crease and up a little bit just to give me a nice transition. And then I took the silicone paddle applicator, and using the color Silk, I patted on that color on the inner half of my eyelid. And I'm using the silicone applicator, like I said, because I feel like it deposits the most amount of color without absorbing any of the product. If I use my finger, it kind of gives me a more sheer application. So I just pat that on, and using that same silicone applicator, I took the color Suede, and I added that to the outer corners of my eye, the outer half. And then when this dries, you can kind of use your finger to kind of blend the two shades together, just so they kind of like transition seamlessly into each other. And then at this point, I took a matte brown eyeshadow, and I kind of buffed that into the crease a little bit, and then I curled my eyelashes and applied mascara as well as eyeliner. And then to kind of intensify the look a little bit more, because a little bit of the shadow did kind of blend out a little too much, I went back with the silicone applicator and I applied a little bit more of the Silk shade to the inner half of my eyelid, just to kind of give it more of like a brighter pop. So pros and cons. I really love the finish that these have. They're very, very pigmented. They have that really nice metallic sheen. So if you're looking for an eyeshadow like that has that kind of like liquid metal type look, I think these are really, really great. A con would be the color range. As much as I love the colors that they have, there are only 6 of them at the moment. I hope that they do come out with more colors, because I do really like the formula and the color payoff, and I really like that it does dry to that powder finish, whereas a lot of cream eyeshadows claim that they dry to a powder finish, but these I feel like truly do. So that makes it a little bit more unique in my opinion. Another con would be the price point for these. These do retail for $26, which is pretty pricey in my opinion. So I like the fact that they each come with their own applicator, that you don't have to go out and buy them separately, but still $26 for a cream eyeshadow is kind of expensive. But I like the fact that you can use it for multiple things. You can use it as a base like you would a regular cream eyeshadow. You can put regular eyeshadows on top of it, or use them in conjunction together. You can actually take this, and I've tried it also as a top coat, where I've done my whole eyeshadow look and I take one of like the shimmerier colors, like something like silk, and I can dab on a little bit to like the center of my eye, just to give it that like metallic kind of look to it. It's really pretty. You can wear them alone. I personally feel like the lighter shades might be a lot easier to wear on their own, because the darker ones are a little bit harder to like blend out really nicely. But my favorite way is using these in conjunction with powder eyeshadows, and I like to concentrate these on my lid because it gives the biggest like pop of color. So I think these are definitely worth checking out. I think they are a lot of fun to use. I will continue to use them. I do really like them a lot. I like the fact that, I mean, it kind of surprised me for the texture that it is, like this like really like liquidy, like creamy product. I thought it was going to be really sheer when you put it on, like it would blend into nothing, but it's actually really pigmented, which was a really big surprise. And the fact that it stayed put all day long was another plus for me. I really like that a lot. So yeah, I would definitely check them out. I believe you can find them at Ulta, at Kohl's, and of course on the PÜR Minerals website. The only downfall for me is the fact that it is kind of pricey, and also I guess the fact that there aren't that many shades to choose from. But like I said, I do really like the colors that they have out already. I feel like they're very wearable. Most people would enjoy them. So yeah, I would definitely recommend checking them out. If you see them in store, definitely stop and swatch them and check them out, because I love their metallic finish. I think it's really, really pretty. So yeah, I hope you guys found this review helpful. Let me know if you guys own any of the PÜR eye polishes, what your thoughts are, or if you've ever seen these in store, if you've ever played with them or whatnot. Let me know your thoughts. Also, let me know if you'd like to see any future eye looks using any of these colors. I would be happy to do like a get ready with me type video or something like that. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys are having a great day, and I will talk to you guys very soon. Bye!